Hurricane Irma goes tossed. Here we are at this marina.
Hi, my name's Colin. I used to be a chief engineer on super yachts, but gave it all up to buy a hurricane-damaged Lagoon 450. My friends and I are fixing it up as we go, and are determined to circumnavigate the entire planet. So subscribe if you want some inspiration to live life to the fullest. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the things you did. So what are you waiting for?
Hey guys, so we're going to try and get the keels off the boat onto the ground, and they weigh a ton. So Jamie's just going to get the scissor lift, and we'll try and get these things onto the scissor lift and then onto the ground under the boat so that we can work on them. 1, 2, 3. Am I filming? Yeah. I think we got it. Yeah.
Hang on, I don't have much of it. I got a ton of it. That's a lot of sticker flex.
It's not too bad. 1, 2, 3. Cool. So these keels need quite a lot of work. They're all cracked and stuff, but during the hurricane they both came out. But when you look at the glue here, it wasn't even touching the inside of the pocket in a lot of these spots. So it was barely hanging on. So we're gonna make sure when we put this back in, we glue it in with more glue, better glue, get it up high. I don't know what we gotta do, but you can clearly see that there was no contact between the glue on this entire side on this keel. So we're gonna make sure we fix that. First thing to do is cut this whole top edge off, and then we'll take it from there. We can see that there's been an impact here and it's crushed this foam down. But I think that was a good move. Now we can taper this right back, get some epoxy and glass back round to here. How they originally made them was they had two halves. You can see the joint here, and they just glued the two halves together. So there was actually no tabbing across this joint. So we're going to improve all of this. So this whole keel is separated along the entire bottom edge and halfway up the side. So I think what we'll do is just cut the ends, and then this whole piece will just come open, and then we can really have a good look inside, assess the situation, see how we want to if we want to do it with foam again, or we're going to build some sort of bulkheads inside it, or whatever we need to do. But as you can see, whatever we do pretty much is going to be better than what there was. There we go. Ooh. See? Tiny bit down the end, like not even funny how small it is. Oh, you got it. Oh, there we go. There we go. Wow. Woo! Glad we did that. We've got disc bonding happening on the keel, and there's a thin foam core inside the keel, and it has separated when the keels came out and got crushed and whatnot. So instead of taking off all the glass and re-glassing the entire thing again, we're going to put epoxy filler inside the disc bonding of the foam down the whole length of it, and then screw it all together, and that'll just bring the two bits of laminate back together again. They are sacrificial keels, and there's pros and cons to that, but you've seen the keel pocket where the keel sits inside. If this thing runs aground or whatever happens, the keels are designed to pull out of the pocket. In this case, it's been a bit of a blessing because we can just repair the keel and then glue it back up there. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to take the screws out,
and glue the other half on, and then we'll leave it for 24 hours, and then we'll start looking at tabbing it all back together with epoxy this time.
Alright guys, so yesterday we glued the two halves together. We used this stuff called Polybond, polyester based bonding filler. And we'll look at putting the foam in, getting it the right, first of all getting it the right shape, and then foaming it, and then glassing it all together. You ready? So what we've done is we've measured in 2-foot increments, and we've measured how wide the gap is inside the pocket of the keel. And then we're going to make these little jigs up, and we're going to make sure that the width of the keel is just slightly less than the width of the pocket, so that the keels will go up, but we don't want the width too narrow, because then there'll be a huge gap down the side of the pocket where the keel is. I want it to just leave like 3 or 4 mil each side. This one's gonna be good. Yep. 22. Yeah, boy. Yeah. Okay. That is good. So, we're going to fill them up with this 2-part polyurethane foam that we got from the marine store there called Merit. We don't know, it doesn't say anywhere how much foam this actually produces. It's 1-to-1, so it's a 2-part mix, and it says mix the 2 parts, and then in about 260 seconds it will fully expand to its full potential, I guess. So we're just going to start small. We're going to just put 2 liters together and see how much it actually fills up. How do you reckon it's gonna go?
I don't know, I can't do it. I can't even get into the...
Not a good start. Here we go.
Imagine if this is way too much. It's getting bigger.
There it goes. Go, 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 go! Oh shit! It's foaming up. Oh no! Alright guys, it's been about 20 minutes now, and it is rock hard now. It's lost all its heat. Really solid, which is exactly what we want to give these walls the support that it needs. Oh, stop. This framework inside there is really going to help for that. It's not a bad thing at all to have some extra support in there. So we're just up to the last stages of the foam fill for this. We're going to do this last part quite carefully, just to do little bits at a time, so that we can fill this cavity up, and then we're just going to shape it to what we need, and then we're going to glass over the whole thing. So it's going to be much stronger if we do it like that. This is obviously a little bit harder than I thought. We're not doing so good with our fills. It just expands so much in some places, and then you put a little bit in other places and it doesn't expand as much. So we're just going to knock it down a little bit now and just get the rough shape of it before we do the next fill. Alright. Starting to take shape, a little bit more filling to do, let it expand out, a little bit more shaping, and then we can start glassing. now I'm just shaping it. I've got these jigs, and I'm putting them in the different areas that we've measured these at, and we're shaping the foam so that we can lay the glass over it. So we've just finished cutting all the glass, everything's ready to go, so we're going to wet them up one by one and just plonk them into place. It's really cold this morning. Right now it's probably about 60, 65. So we're using the fast curing hardener with the West Systems epoxy system. It's epoxy stuff, and yeah, ready to go. So this will be the join on both the keels glassed in today. All right, there we go. I think that went really well. So it's super strong. I'm just gonna get the big grinder now and just flatten it all off, and then we'll see exactly where we're at with the original shape. Might need a little bit more glass in a couple of spots just to make it perfectly in that same shape again. All right, guys, here we go. We got we're at the next stage of the keel repairs. We're going to wrap a piece of biax glass with epoxy around the whole thing, but right now we're going to do the bottom and the front and back, and then we'll flip it over, and then we'll build up the top side. So we're going to do it in 2 halves. Okay, you can wet up the next one. Yep. Alright guys, so we've finished glassing the keel now. This is the starboard side keel. What we're going to do for the next step is to put some epoxy filler over the whole thing, just to get these little tiny imperfections out of it, and then we'll sand that down, and then we can put the epoxy barrier coat on, the primer, and then they can go up, and then the last thing we do is anti-foul it. So our first coat of filler on the keel turned out really nice. So we're just going to give it another fill, just to fill all the little imperfections, and then we'll be ready for primer. Alright guys, beside me are the port and starboard keels, and they've been completely faired. We use easy fair epoxy fairing compound just to get that final little bit of ripples out of the glasswork that we did. So it's all done in epoxy. Now they're ready for primer. So we're going to use Petite Primer. It's a high build epoxy primer, and that acts as a barrier. Even though we've done all this in epoxy anyway, I'm going to get these areas that I can reach, and then once they're glued up, I'll get the rest of it. But we want to get the primer on here, 2 coats, let that completely cure. I think I'll read the instructions again, but I think it's 3 hours between coats, and we're going to let that completely cure so that we can put glue on the keels and then glue them into the pocket. We've spoken to the warranty guy for Fontaine Peugeot in Martinique. He's a friend of Jeff's, and he has told us to use Sikaflex 291, and we need to put glue. They don't glue the top or the top edge, they just glue here from about 6 to 8 inches from the bottom. Glue it all the way along, put it up into the pocket, let that cure, and then seal it up around the joint. So that's exactly what we're going to do. That's coming from Fontaine Peugeot. Exciting stuff. I can't wait to see these things back in. They've been a lot of work, a lot more work than we thought, as always. And yeah, it'll just be really nice to see them in. There you go, guys. Nice solid coat of epoxy primer, barrier coat on both the keels, but super happy. So the pot says give it 3 hours at this temperature between coats. So it's 11:30 now, so 12, 1, 2, 3:30. Wait, that's not good math. 2:30 we'll put coat number 2 on, and then we can glue these bad boys up. Yoo! All right guys, we're ready to glue the keels up. So what we've done is we've just taken these little bits of stirring stick and we've glued them down the center line of the keel. And when it goes up, we've taken a plumb bob and we've made a line where level is. And so that when the keels go up, we're going to line these stirring sticks up with our line so that we know that we've installed the keel straight up and down. So the point of these is if you hit something, it's not for the keel to break, it's for the glue to separate and the keel pops out. This will actually float. You can tie a rope around it and tow it back to the nearest safe haven. So that's the point of the keels. Some people were saying, hey, you don't want to make them too strong. That's not true. You do want to make them strong. If they weren't strong, they would just break and they would sink. If you keep them strong and they pop out of the pocket, then you can recover them, go to the shipyard and glue them. To buy these from France is I think about 5,000 euros each plus shipping. So if you can recover this and check for repairs and then glue it back in, you're much better off. Alright guys, so the keel's dry fit, it looks great. We're just marking where the hull meets the keel so that we just glue above that line. And we're also going to figure out how to chock it. So we're going to put these big blocks under it and then we're going to make some wedges and then drive the wedges into under the keel to push it up, and then we'll leave it like that for the glue to cure. Beauty. Okay, now we can sand it and glue it. Alright guys, glue's on. We've got a nice thick bead. We're gonna slide this thing on up. Oh, that gap's good. Look at all the glue touching. That's awesome. And then this one's gonna come in this way. There we go guys, we did it. Keels are both in. The port side keel went in even smoother than the starboard side. Gap is perfect. We just finished siliconing all around the side with the same stuff, the Sikaflex. And now they're good. Now they're just going to get a quick scuff of the primer and then the anti-foul will go on. We saved a little bit of primer from when we were doing all the priming to do the bottom edge of the keel because they were sitting here. So we never got to roll the bottom edge. So we're going to roll that with primer first and then they can get anti-fouled. So that's a huge moment for us. We've chopped them up, we've made some wedges and they're holding the keels up nicely. So tick that one off the list.